Greg Bakun here. I love historic tours of Minneapolis and seeing everything it has to offer. But if you know me, I like to include a little spooky in my tours, which is why I found the perfect combination. Minneapolis Trolley Tours does this amazing candlelight ghost tour that you have to check out. It's an extremely immersive experience. It's a trolley trip that starts out at a haunted mansion, traveling around Minneapolis locations, exposing ghost stories that the public and business owners would rather left untold. Then a tour of the aforementioned haunted mansion where ghosts of past residents from the 1800s reside, plus a lot of surprises to discover. Next, experience Gertrude's After Hours. Did I mention Gertrude is the mansion's most famous ghost? Maybe she'll show up. And you finish up the tour at Gertrude's Lounge in the haunted basement of the mansion with refreshments and Q&A. The trolleys are climate controlled and the mansion is restored to perfection. Check out MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for more information. Are you one of thousands of individuals who know you have psychic abilities but don't know how to tap into your higher self? Refined Divine is an extremely gifted psychic medium who offers classes that can help you reach your goals. Refined Divine holds classes Monday and Thursday at her 2 locations and via Zoom. Classes consist of manifestation, learning psychic abilities, shadow work, and healing trauma. Refined Divine has helped thousands, and she can help you.
This is Psychic Medium Deb. You can go to refinedivinepsychic.com.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, clear with a low of 33, then Wednesday, sunshine with a high of 51. Time is running out for your chance to see Children's Theater Company's production of Roald Dahl's Mischievous Tale, The Enormous Crocodile. The show only runs through November 23rd, and tickets are going fast. Get your tickets today at childrenstheater.org.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host, guest, random reptoid, or chupacabra may not necessarily reflect those of AM 950 Radio, its affiliates, or its sponsors. Now, it's time to step into the unknown. There are things people experience but never talk about. A shadow moving in the corner, flickering of the lights, a disembodied voice. We invite you to talk with us, share your story, share your experience, because this isn't just your story, this is our story. This is GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun.
And this is GhostBox Radio on AM 950, where every night we talk about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. My name is Greg Bakun. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. First of all, I want to just say, of course, just getting off of a tremendous weekend over at Twin Cities Con, met a lot of people over the past 3 days, and it was really a lot of fun, as it always is. And I have to say, probably a highlight. I mean, we had so many people stop by our table today, this weekend. And the thing about that was that we had a number of people who wanted to know more about our show and wanted to learn about it. And we gave cards and stuff for hopefully people will be checking it out. Hopefully tonight, there are some folks who have not heard the show before that are maybe listening for the first time. But there was plenty of people who stopped by and said that they did listen to the show, which is, really something, to be perfectly honest, because, as I've said before, when you are doing the show and you're in a room and you are only other person nearby is a cat, it's sometimes really hard to know if you're actually breaking through at all, if anyone's actually really listening. And this isn't a pathetic plea for, cry for help or anything. If someone, please say that you're listening. It's more of just how it is. It's just that, and you talk to other hosts, and they often feel the same way as well. You just don't know if you're breaking through. So to be able to have that opportunity to have people say that they listen is great. I also picked up a cold, but I think I picked it up prior to Twin Cities Con, as the Thursday before I was starting to get a sore throat. So I had to medicate myself during this thing. I was adamant that I was going to make it all the way through, unlike last year. And so I really wanted to make sure that I took care of myself. but I did take yesterday off from the show and from just being at the station in general, because I really needed a day. It was very tiring, but it was a lot of fun. Another highlight was that we were allowed to present at Twin Cities Con, which was really cool, because one of the things I really want to do, and one of the things I love to do, is present audio of some of the spirit recordings that I have picked up over the years, and in the current presentation, there's actually a piece of audio from somebody else, and obviously I give credit to her for her audio, which is a fantastic EVP. But the thing is, and I don't hold any delusion that this is all because of our show, but the presentation room was at capacity well before the presentation started, and so that was about 100 people, and they had to push away. They had to turn away at least another 50 people to because there wasn't enough room, and there's these things called fire codes, I guess, and stuff like that they have to make sure they follow. But so I mean, we had an incredible turnout for that, absolutely incredible. We did have some tech problems at the beginning and made us start about 10 minutes late, which that's never ideal, but life happens, and hopefully we were able, meaning me, able to get the presentation to still sound like a I don't know, like something worth somebody listening to. But we made it work, and it was great. So very excited. Had a lot of people come up afterwards talking about it. So it was very exciting, and I was very blessed to be a part of that as well. I do want to say real fast before we get into our topic tonight, I'm driving home. I pull into my driveway. It's obviously now it becomes dark at 5:30 or whatever. There's this thing that is running across the road, and it runs because I park my truck outside and I park my car in the inside, and this thing crawls under the truck, and I think it keeps going into the backyard, but I don't know what it is. I do not know what it is. I'll tell you what it looked like, and this is really odd. If it's what I think it is, it has to be somebody's like very very obscure type of pet. To me, it looked like an armadillo. Quite honestly, it had very short legs, and it actually had like a short tail. I didn't notice necessarily like the armor or anything, but I thought, gosh, I don't know what that is. And so I parked my car outside tonight only because I didn't want to open the garage door and either see this thing like run inside my garage or miss it running inside my garage. Either way, not be able to get it out or whatever else. I'm like, I'm not going to bother tonight, but I just don't know what that was. And please don't think I'm thinking it's some sort of, chupacabra or something that's running wild in my neighborhood. I'm not thinking it has anything to do with, with any sort of, paranormal sort of feel to it. It's just really bizarre, though. It like looked like a big. See, okay, Beth is like possum. That's probably what I'm actually really trying to think of. And it looked very pudgy, and it's just like, okay, and I tried to follow it, and the thing took off. And this is where I learned, and I should have known this before, that the flashlight on your iPhone is in fact garbage. Okay, if you think that you could see using the flashlight on your iPhone, you are in fact wrong, because that is not, I think that if I don't even have an equivalent of what could be a better flashlight, that it could be anything, it could absolutely be anything. And, I thought, okay, when I knew I wish I had a better flashlight, but this thing was useless. So that's whatever it is, probably in the backyard or whatever now, is, and of course, obviously the first thing that also comes to my mind is I'm hoping that that it's safe, that if it, and Beth is right, if it's a possum, that's better. I just didn't want it to be somebody's pet that got out somehow and is now roaming the street. It's cold outside, it's getting colder, and I just wanted to make sure that there was nothing there that was that could harm it. That's my main thing about it. I just care. That's my problem. That's always been my problem. I just care too much about everyone and everything. It's a flaw is what that is. So, there you have that going for you. Now, today is November 11th, 11/11, and that is the number sign for an angel, amongst other things. And so, it's if you believe in the metaphysical side of things, which you might do, is every time, and people will always say this, every time I look down at my clock randomly, it's like 11/11, 3:33, that sort of thing. And really what that is like you're being thought of in good favor, you're loved. And since today is in fact 11/11, and as it happened, when I got to work, and yes, I got to work after 11 today. When I got to work and I had my, I woke up my computer, it just said it's November 11th, and the time actually was 11/11. And of course, what did I do? I took a picture of it. I was going to post it and never did, and that's okay. But one of the things, and I've talked about this before, is I have such a interest in angels. I always have. I think, I think my interests tend to be a little bit different than, especially those of mediums and those who do Reiki and who call upon them and stuff, mainly because I find the mystery of them, I think, to be something that constantly fascinates me. And I want to talk about some of that tonight as well. I also want to do this for anyone listening, especially those who are watching me on Facebook tonight. And if you're not watching me on Facebook, if you're listening to me on the radio, first of all, thank you for doing so. But you could also watch the video portion on the AM 950 Facebook page, Get Haunted Facebook page, GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun Facebook page. And there you can put in comments that I will see, because we don't have anyone to answer the phone at the station tonight. That way, if you have questions or you have comments, you're more than welcome to put them in as well. Because the question I want to ask to all of you is, what does an angel look like to you? And I don't mean physically. I mean, what is an angel to you? What does that mean? Because I have my own very textbook ideas of what angels are, but that doesn't mean that's how everyone else sees it. And I'd be very disappointed if you all did see it that way, because I think angels can mean anything. I think, we talk about guardian angels. And when you talk about guardian angels, a lot of people will sort of like put their loved ones in those roles of guardian angels. Like someone will be like, oh, it's my grandpa who passed away whenever. He is my guardian angel. I'll even go as far as, I've said this before, I think Linus is a guardian angel to me as well. Just because I find, that he has already kind of showed himself as being someone that's kind of looking after me. And I had a lot of questions this weekend, actually, at Twin Cities Con about pets in the afterlife. And it's very interesting, and it makes me wonder why that was a hot topic this weekend. But I had a number of people ask about that this weekend as well. But as far as like our guardian angels, part of, and just even talking about people who work in hospice care, we had this famous episode before I went nightly. That was done in, I think, July of, I would say, 2022, something like that. And maybe one of these days, maybe this week's replay on Thursday, I think maybe I'll replay this one. This is probably one of my famous episodes of the show, where we had a hospice worker who she wouldn't give her identity. I mean, I knew her identity, but she didn't want her identity on the air, and I understand that and respect that. And she was talking about how death had appeared to all sorts of different people who were in her care and her staff's care in hospice. And there's even one where they go in a room and they see like an angel, and it's not an angel like, I mean, it's an angel that we think of, with the relatively new concept of the wings and stuff, relatively speaking, but also with also the sword and the shield, almost like a Saint Michael, if you will. And that's the sort of thing. It's very interesting, actually. Heather says that an angel is a messenger. We have many types of angels assigned to each of us. Yeah, I mean, and that's just it. We do have our own, we have our own way of seeing that. And when I say that, please don't think I'm dismissing what you're saying, Heather. I'm just like, yeah, absolutely. And there, and that hospice worker who saw the angel, angel of death, is that truly a thing? I don't know. But it's one of those very real moments, and those are the type of things that, quite frankly, I'm really interested in. I'm going to, apart from just my own illness, about what? That's now 3-4. Are we going on 4 years? The first time I had COVID, and it wasn't going well. It wasn't going well at all, and that was where I felt like my body was shutting down, and there was more to it than COVID. And I've told this story to a certain degree before, so we're not going to get into it. But ultimately, I do believe, through the help of friends, that calling upon Saint Michael, calling upon Raphael, all of these angels. And the weird thing about it is, throughout my time in this journey of paranormal, there are so many times that I've called upon angels for so many different things. But when I'm sitting there, and I can look ahead of me right now to the couch that I had spent nearly 2 weeks on, feeling like my body was giving out. It was coming to an end. I never even thought about calling an angel. Shar, who we've had on many times before, I'm going to have her on in a week or two. She said, I'm calling in. I've called in Saint Michael, and she talks about hearing the wings as she called him in. And I'm actually getting chills even talking about it, to be perfectly honest, of like going into action. And I said to her, I never thought about calling in the angels. All these years, that's all I ever did. I called in angels for everything. And just even to say hello, just even to, just for my spirit box sessions and stuff like that. And here I am dying over there. And I don't use that term lightly, folks. It was not a good situation. There was a day I didn't think I was going to make it all the way through. And it never occurred to me. It's like there was something more than the COVID going on. There was almost more of a curse, to be honest. But it was truly a very frightening situation. And luckily, people who cared a great deal for me took their time to make sure that I was able to get the help I needed, and really they worked to get me to some sort of, get me back to health. The scary thing about that is, anyone who's had COVID can also attest to, you're never the same after that. I have, whatever it is, I have not been remotely the same since. And it's taken me from, I would say, from when I first had that to just a few months ago to actually say that I feel okay again. And it's just amazing how that works. Why don't we go ahead and do this? I want to take my first break. When I come back, I want to talk about angel sightings. I want to talk about, have you ever heard a chorus of angels sing? That stuff really fascinates me. If you have, put in your comments too. Folks, don't go anywhere. We're just going to take a short break. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. Greg Bakun here. I love historic tours of Minneapolis and seeing everything it has to offer. But if you know me, I like to include a little spooky in my tours, which is why I found the perfect combination. Minneapolis Trolley Tours does this amazing candlelight ghost tour that you have to check out. It's an extremely immersive experience. It's a trolley trip that starts out at a haunted mansion, traveling around Minneapolis locations exposing ghost stories that the public and business owners would rather left untold. Then a tour of the aforementioned haunted mansion where ghosts of past residents from the 1800s reside, plus a lot of surprises to discover. Next, experience Gertrude's After Hours. Did I mention Gertrude is the mansion's most famous ghost? Maybe she'll show up. And you finish up the tour at Gertrude's Lounge in the haunted basement of the mansion with refreshments and Q&A. The trolleys are climate controlled and the mansion is restored to perfection. Check out MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for more information. Have you ever met someone who not only can help you on a deep spiritual level, but also potentially change your life? Refined Divine is an extremely gifted psychic medium who travels the nation and lives right here in the Midwest. And she offers mediumship, mentorship, house and business parties, energy healing, palm readings, and so much more. Refined Divine has helped thousands, and she can help you.
Hi, this is Psychic Medium Deb. I cannot wait to hear from you. You can go to refineddivinepsychic.com.
Greg Bakun here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com. And I just want to remind everybody, this Thursday, it's coming up. We do this the second Thursday of every month. We're very excited about it. We are doing a paranormal investigation in the basement of Divine Lights in Anoka. And this is incredible, actually. This is a lot of fun. Join us for a 3-hour guided exploration into a location rich with energy, mystery, and history. This is more than a ghost hunt. It's an invitation to explore the layers of energy that linger long time after time itself had moved on. And this is really a very unique situation. Yes, we do it once a month, but being able to investigate in Anoka is pretty incredible. In the basement of a metaphysical shop is pretty incredible as well. Really, time kind of bumps into itself down there. There is so much down there, and we have had a ton of great experiences down there. This Thursday, we're doing our next one. If you want to go to on Facebook, you go to Charvinity, go to her page, and Charvinity is the name. And in the events, you can find the investigation, and you can go to the link there and get tickets. You're going to need to get tickets to join us, or you can go to charvinity.com, and there you can find the events as well and get the tickets for the event as well. If you're having problems finding it, just let me know, and I'll help you get to where you want to. It's a great experience, and I hope to see you all out there. We are talking about angels tonight. It is 11/11. Not the time, by the way. We're talking about the date, November 11th. And I thought it was a good time to talk about angels. Anyone who had ever seen me do the Sunday night Facebook Spirit Box sessions, which is a little more before the nightly radio show. I was doing the weekly radio show at that time. And you'll have may remember that I used to actually call out to angels quite often. Now, once again, the thing is, and I've been called out for this before, and I think it's fair to a certain degree. A lot of what I talk about here is Christian, or Roman Catholic, and I've been called out before by people saying that I'm not covering other religions, and that is very fair, because I'm not, and not because I don't want to, is because I don't know it, and I am very careful about making sure I bring people on to talk about the stuff because they know it. I don't want to guess. I don't want to, even through research, talking about it and getting it wrong, because I respect it so much. So once again, this is going to be coming from a perspective of somebody who grew up Catholic. So, angels have a very, a unique background for me. That's why I asked, what do angels look like to you? Because it's something that is, it's personal. It's different. It's, we know it's in scripture. We know it's in the Bible. We know what is in history, but what does it mean to you? What I kind of started this all off is I just find the mystery of them to be incredibly interesting to me in a lot of ways. And there was the time in Easter that I used a spirit box, and some of you may remember this, that I called out to Mary. Now, Mary's not an angel, but I remember very vividly a female voice coming through and said, I am here. And suddenly a lot of voices start coming through the spirit box, and they're all saying, I love you. It's just, I love you. I love you. I love you. And it was something that just was profound to me. And I remember, if you're watching the Facebook feed right now, and you can kind of see the pinkish light in here, that's what I remember the room looking like when I did the spirit box session. But what makes it really interesting, though, because to me it felt like it was like dusk out, that the sun was setting, beautiful Easter sunset. But it was 10 p.m. It was, after 10. So, is that just my mind creating that? Did I really see that? But it just was such a comforting experience, and I felt love all around me. And the people who were watching, they were feeling love. They were feeling this sort of like a beautification that was happening around them. And I've tried since, and it's never really quite been the same since. That time was utterly amazing, and I will never forget that. I will never ever forget that. Have any of you seen an angel before? I'd love to hear that, but I also want to ask this, because I find this very interesting. Many years ago, or probably 10, maybe a little bit more, I kind of got on this sort of this kick about like hearing people talk about like hearing a choir of angels sing, and that they're at an octave so high that it is something that your ears will immediately know that it's impossible for it to come from humans. And right away, I'm just like, I would like to hear this. I would very much like to hear this. So I went out looking for that, and at YouTube. I mean, it sounds so silly to say. So I went to YouTube to find the angels of, the choir of angels singing, but where else am I going to go? And this is before like AI and stuff. So this was, just crazy. But there was one video, and it was during a church practice, a choir practice, and they say that the angels took over the recordings. What's moving in is that my cat? Sorry. I'm sort of freaking myself out over here, to be honest. And I hear stuff moving in here, and it's like, I know it's Puff, but I don't see her anywhere, so that just adds. It's probably that armadillo, to be honest. Anyway, so I listened to this video, like I can't wait, and it's certainly people singing, and I'm like, okay, this is. I mean, certainly my mind isn't going to this. This is impossible to be humans. But I think what gave it away is that there was a drum set as well. And, you can hear the little bass and the, just, just playing on someone hitting a cymbal, a hi-hat. Like, now this isn't it. So I went and did some research to see in history, do we have anything about choirs of angels singing? And so we go to World War I, Angels of Mons. British soldiers in 1914 reported seeing glowing beings and hearing a distant, ethereal singing or humming during battle. Some said it sounded like a celestial army singing above the gunfire. Skeptics later suggested psychological stress, but survivors maintain that they truly heard something not of this world. Isn't that something? I mean, it makes you really wonder. Because first of all, a couple things here to unpack. One of them is that do we suffer from like group think in these situations? I think we see this very often in a lot of things in my world, paranormal investigating. You get this a lot. If someone says, I think I hear something, and if we're not actually really hearing it, I think what's happening is that, people start picking up on that and like, oh yeah, I can hear that too. And it gets, and I've seen it where it gets to actually a fevered pitch. It gets kind of out of control because we let our imaginations run away with that. I'm not saying that's what's happening here, but that's probably what people were thinking. Of course, I'm one of those people who are just like, I read it once and I'm like, yeah, no, that's definitely distant ethereal singing. That's where I go to right away. And that's just really, I'm an easy person to convince in those situations because I want it to be the case. And also here's the thing, there's a lot of interesting things that happened during the First World War. Not so much more than the day that fighting stopped. What was that on Christmas? And was that 1914 in Christmas 1914, or was it in 17? I forget, where both sides came over into no man's land and actually played football or some game, and they had enough, and then it ended, and they went back to war. Isn't that something? It's something about what war does to people, right? Especially after doing it and being in it for so long. Now, in the 20th century, many near-death experiences or experiencers describe entering a state filled with music that isn't made by instrument or voices, but vibrations of pure harmony. And psychiatrist Dr. Raymond Moody, author of A Life After Life, documented dozens of near-death experiencers involving angelic choirs where experiencers said it was music that was part of the light itself. Now, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about something that transcends just our thought on what this stuff is. That it's just, coming from a vocal cord or something, that it's all connected in a very different way. And if you're listening, if you're truly listening to what I'm saying here, are you not imagining what that sounds like right now? That because I think there's a lot of people, and I've seen some people in the comments here who I know, you have a very spiritual background. I know you're thinking about what this sounds like. Isn't that cool? It's just something really, really just, basically very beautiful, quite frankly, about all of it. So, you have that. Meanwhile, some modern paranormal investigators, especially in sacred or high energy sites, claim to capture choral EVP phenomena, recording of faint harmonic voices with no visible source. I'd love to hear that. In a few well-known investigations, including abbeys and cemeteries, audio analysis found some layers resembling multi-track harmony without a clear origin. How cool would that be? I mean, that would be pretty incredible, to be honest. Skeptics often attribute this to pareidoia, hearing patterns and noises, but believers note that the consistency of harmonic intervals in unrelated locations. Yeah, I mean, that's incredible. And so, you know, I don't know if I don't know if anyone who's ever gotten that before, to be honest. I'd love to hear that. Now, I've certainly have seen footage in abbeys like in the UK and other places around, in Europe, and I think even down in Australia, to be honest. They go to abbeys, and there's like full-bodied apparitions of monks and stuff like that. But this seems to be even more so. And I've often wondered, and this is why I've always wanted to investigate like a church for that alone. I'm not going there to try to pick up, someone who passed away and may have had their funeral there. I want to see if going into a place like a church gets me closer to getting that kind of response. So that's what I was really hoping to get as well at some point. Now, let's see here. Now, scientific and metaphysical interpretations, psychoacoustic theories, extreme stress, infrasound, or resonance from architectural structures can produce effects that feel musical. Is this, like, if we're talking about in abbeys or churches, very cavernous, walls are done, walls are not really walls, pillars really open up into other areas. I mean, most churches are based off of a cross, right? So does that mean that helps create those sort of sounds? A metaphysical view is the angel chorus might be a vibrational phenomenon beyond the human auditory range, occasionally perceived when one consciousness tunes in. Like, what if that's out there all the time? What if that harmony is always there and it's just waiting for us to tune in? It's like a radio station. It's always going. And, if you're able to do so, you're able to tune into that angel chorus. Has anyone ever thought of that before? I'm sure they have. Or has anyone experienced that before? I'd be very interested in knowing. Let's see here. Or cultural crossover. Similar experiences are described in other traditions. Sufi mystics speak of the voices of the unseen, and Tibetan monks of soundless sound during deep meditation. It's quite something, and it's I don't know. It's something that I would love to know if anyone else has picked up or anything. And we'll talk a little bit more about it. Let's talk about some of the famous anecdotes of angelic chorus experiences, and also anything that is on your mind as well. We're going to take our next break here. When we come back, let's continue our conversation about angels. And, let me know if you've run into anything that we've talked about. I would love to hear it. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. Greg Bakun here. I love historic tours of Minneapolis and seeing everything it has to offer. But if you know me, I like to include a little spooky in my tours, which is why I found the perfect combination. Minneapolis Trolley Tours does this amazing candlelight ghost tour that you have to check out. It's an extremely immersive experience. It's a trolley trip that starts out at a haunted mansion, traveling around Minneapolis locations exposing ghost stories that the public and business owners would rather left untold. Then a tour of the aforementioned haunted mansion where ghosts of past residents from the 1800s reside, plus a lot of surprises to discover. Next, experience Gertrude's After Hours. Did I mention Gertrude is the mansion's most famous ghost? Maybe she'll show up. And you finish up the tour at Gertrude's Lounge in the haunted basement of the mansion with refreshments and Q&A. The trolleys are climate controlled and the mansion is restored to perfection. Check out MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for more information. Have you ever met someone who not only can help you on a deep spiritual level, but also potentially change your life? Refined Divine is an extremely gifted psychic medium who travels the nation and lives right here in the Midwest. And she offers mediumship, mentorship, house and business parties, energy healing, palm readings, and so much more. Refined Divine has helped thousands, and she can help you.
Hi, this is Psychic Medium Deb. I cannot wait to hear from you. You can go to refineddivinepsychic.com.
Greg Bakun here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey, bacon, avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com. And join me tomorrow on GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun. We are going to have on with us Pat Boussard O'Keefe. We were supposed to have her on a week ago, but there was just a miscommunication, and that happens. And she's going to talk to us about Appalachian witchcraft, curses, second sight. Obviously, it's an area that she grew up in. She wrote a book about it, and we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about what all that looks like and what that means. I've been wanting to have this conversation for a while, so I'm very excited to be able to have her on. Like I said, she's supposed to be on a week ago, but you know, things just gets miscommunicated, and I am just very thrilled that she is able to join us now. Now, we have been talking tonight about angels. It is, in fact, November 11th. We still have a little bit time left on November 11th. And I just been talking about some of the stuff that interests me about angels. You know, we're not even talking about stuff like the, their healing and, what the good that they do for the universe. I'm talking more about the kind of the paranormal side of it, the sightings, the choral music, all of that. And I want to keep that going. I find that very interesting. If you like episodes like this, where I'm just kind of, sharing thoughts and some research and stuff like that, let me know. It's a little bit different than what we normally do, but I really do enjoy it myself. And sometimes it's just nice to just talk to you all. And if you're enjoying it, let me know. Send me, put it in the comments, or let me know. If you are also more than welcome to send me an email comment at ghostboxradio.com. I'm more than welcome to send me anything that's on your mind as well. Always happy to have you all with us. Now, one of the things I wanted to know about too is, like, are there any documented cases of seeing an angel? Now, obviously there is and there isn't. There's cases that people have seen angels, but can we prove that it is such a thing? That's not the case at all. This stuff goes all the way back to the beginning, really, with the Annunciation, with the Virgin Mary, and Archangel Gabriel appears to Mary in Nazareth to announce that she'll bear Jesus, one of the most famous angelic visitations in history, depicted in countless works of art. And then you go to the angel at the tomb, and it's witnessed by Mary Magdalene and other followers of Jesus. An angel appears outside the empty tomb, his face like lightning, his clothes white as snow. And it goes on. Once we get into the 20th century, we have the Fatima apparitions in 1916, 1917 in Portugal. Witnessed 3 shepherd children, Lucia, Francisco, and Janita, and being identified itself as Angel of Peace, appeared to them several times before the famous Marian apparitions. We didn't get an angel per se for Montagore, but to me, it seems very much like that as well. Now, the significance here is seen by millions as one of the best documented 20th century supernatural events, with mass witnesses of celestial phenomena Very interesting stuff. Now, here's another one that I am not familiar with, and I find this actually very interesting. Let's see here. And I see Nancy in the comments. She says David Hansel claims to talk to angels. I don't know who that is. I'm happy to hear that. I think we all do, though, don't we? I mean, like I was saying earlier, and you may not have been on yet. I talk about how I've had conversations through Spirit Box. I think we all do it in our own way, don't we? Let's see. Going to the Angels of Mons, 1914, Belgium. Once again, World War I. British soldiers retreating from the German forces. Soldiers reported seeing a luminous host of angelic archers or shining men protecting them during the Battle of Mons. That's something. That's crazy. Newspapers worldwide covered it. Poems and sermons described it as proof of divine protection in war. It's now the skeptic side of it is possibly mass visions inspired by a short story that circulated at the time, but many soldiers swore they saw the beings firsthand. So that's very interesting that we have had two in the same area of angels sightings and hearing angels. I don't know. I think that's very crazy. And I mean that in a good way. Nancy says that she tuned in late. Northern Lights were out. I did forget to mention that I see that Northern Lights are very much out tonight, and very cool. I hope everyone had a chance to go out and check it out. Now, angelic figures on September 11th, 2001 in New York, witnessed by civilians and first responders. Several reports emerged of beings of light or wing forms seen near collapsing towers or helping people escape. Some survivors described hearing a calm male voice guiding them to safety. Others photographed shapes later interpreted as angelic. I seem to remember this. I seem to remember, that like amongst really far into like a faraway shot in these towers that are decimated, that haven't fallen yet, that there is these angelic sort of forms of light. Anyone else remember this? I don't know. Very interesting. All I know is that the thing is that the more I'm talking about it here, the energy in here is really, really different than it was before. And I don't know how to describe it, to be honest. It's I'm not sure if I'm actually liking it, because I feel a little bit exposed here, to be perfectly honest. So it's something else. Let's see here. More modern day reports. The Highway Angel, a 1990s Midwest. A woman stranded in a snowstorm. A man appeared, helped fix her car, and vanished when she turned to thank him. Similar helpful strangers who disappear stories are common and often classified as guardian angel encounters. I mean, that's pretty interesting. I kind of want stories with a little bit more, not the sort of general sort of, and it was once told that, let's see. In the Angels in the Storm in 2011, Joplin, Missouri, multiple families during the Joplin tornado outbreak. Survivors described hearing angelic voices singing and seeing glowing forms protecting them in the rubble. Local TV and church groups documented several consistent reports, some captured on emergency recordings. Oh, I'd like to hear that. Wouldn't you? I wonder if that's easily accessible. That's something. In 2022, The Ukrainian battlefield lights. Soldiers and civilians in Ukraine saw this. Social media and Telegram reports describe luminous winged forms in the sky during night bombings, interpreted by many as angels protecting Kiev. Skepticism is that maybe the drones or atmospheric illusions, but the story went viral, even shared by some military chaplains. Of course, they would obviously a chaplain would definitely hold on to that because it's great propaganda for them. And I'm not saying it's not true, but it's really interesting. Now, of course, there's also the angel choir in the hospital. We talked a little bit about this earlier. Over the years, nurses, patients, and families in various hospitals, multiple modern cases of terminally ill patients or staff reporting a chorus of voices or light forms before patient passing. The common themes here is peace, calm, unearthly music. Other recorded in nursing journals, near-death studies, in spiritual encounters databases about this phenomenon. And then, of course, angel captured on closed-circuit television, 2016, Michigan. Church security cameras captured a glowing humanoid figure hovering above a truck. The pastor called it an angel protecting our grounds. And it was picked up by local media, WWMT News, Channel 3. Skeptics suggested it was an insect near the lens, but visually striking nonetheless. And there is something to that about the whole bug thing in these cameras. There is something about that for sure. And you have to really try to debunk that stuff, because a bug that gets into a night vision camera, that's, security camera looking out, it looks like anything from Mothman to an angel to whatever else. And, the question that I have is, if this is all true, which I hope it is, at the same time, what are the choices being made to save some while others don't make it? And that's the question that I have, because it's not me trying to have a go at it. It's just something that to me seems like a very obvious question. Like, what are the parameters for choosing to help and not choosing to help? And I refuse to believe it's down to if you have faith and you don't have faith. I'd really like to believe that everyone, their lives means the same, whether you have faith or don't have faith, because that's what if you read scripture and stuff, that's what we're given, that we had the opportunity to live our lives the way that we wanted to. And so, that's great. Now, Nancy says, apparently it's just Nancy and I tonight, says, ask God, all will be revealed when you get there. Here's the thing. I'm going to ask now, because that's what life is about, to be able to ask questions. And I never understand why people, no offense, I'm not having to go at you, Nancy, they always say that kind of stuff, because we should have the right. And this is a program about talking about these, wonderful little, moments of, like, we want to understand a little bit. And I'm not asking knowing I'm going to get an answer. I'm asking because I'd like to know people's, thoughts and their understandings, and how does their faith play into it, or how does your perhaps lack of faith play into it? These are all things that are very important, so that we can kind of together, kind of have some sort of an opinion. And doesn't have to all be the same thing, but they can be all these sort of opinions. And for me to ask questions means that I actually am curious more with my own faith and my own understanding. And so I find that to be really good. And Nancy, if I just decided, well, I'll ask God the question when I pass, the show would be 5 minutes long tonight. So, just saying that, that's kind of how it works. So it's weird. People tune into a paranormal show and they're like, well, ask God. Okay, well, I'm just asking everyone else right now. But it's, it is what it is. Now, once again, folks, I just want to quickly say that I'd love to have more people come out to the Anoka Paranormal Investigation this Thursday. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to bring some great equipment. Once again, go to Charvinity on Facebook or go to charvinity.com. In there, you're going to be able to find in both places events, and we'll get you to a link that you can buy tickets. If you're having trouble finding the link, just let me know and I'll help you get there if you'd like to check it out. We do this every second Thursday of the month. We're also getting ready for the next Ghost Stories and Beyond, which will be on December 3rd. There we are going to be doing one of my favorite things, playing some Spirit Box recordings and other spirit recordings. We're going to be doing that and giving people the opportunity to hear some of that. And maybe, just maybe, we'll do some Spirit Box communication as well. You know, that's just, it's a lot of fun to listen to some of these good ones. I'll see if I can pull some that we haven't played in a while, but we will definitely play some really enjoyable ones as well. Plus, it's half-price burgers. And then, of course, once again, tomorrow, we are going to have Pat Bussard O'Keefe. We're talking about the Appalachian witches. We're going to be talking about curses. We're going to talk about second sight. It's so much of it seems so interesting to me, such as at night, everyone in the Appalachian region, they shut their shades. They make sure that nothing can see into their house at night. What's the purpose of that? We're going to ask all that tomorrow. Folks, really enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed it too. Once again, if you enjoy these type of episodes, let me know. Send me a note, comment at ghostboxradio.com. Once again, we're going to have Pat Bussard O'Keefe on tomorrow talking about the Appalachian magic, witches, all that good stuff. We'll be back tomorrow. Everyone, have a fantastic evening.